Hi, everybody. Welcome to Eating Peace this week. There's a common sensation or thought or aspect that I've heard people speak to me about over time when we're working individually on this incredible topic of compulsion, eating, addiction, wanting to consume, wanting to starve. And that is the sense that they have really, really troubled feelings. Whether it's that, now that's a little bit different than craving, emotional experience, that it's difficult. There's some feelings in the body, sensational reactions to maybe other people or incidents or events and situations that feel really, really uncomfortable. Long ago, I was in a therapy group, and we basically joked sometimes, being in this group, that there are 4 basic emotions in the human condition: mad, sad, glad, and scared. And then all the different nuances and words that we have for describing slight variations on each one of those. The variations are actually amazing in their description. It's kind of capturing the essence of some emotional response and saying it just right. It's a little bit different in this situation. It's a little bit different in that one. Betrayal feels a little bit different than tortured by somebody. Those are strong words. Sad feels different than melancholy. So it's beautiful, all the different variations that we have about with using language for all these different feelings, for the experience of describing what's going on emotionally inside the body as it physically responds, and inside your heart and your mind, and then how you act when you feel a certain way. Huge range of feelings in the human condition. But it is really interesting to notice the ones that you feel against. So that's what people will come to me to say. I just need to get rid of all my resentment. If I don't have resentment anymore, then I wouldn't eat over it. I wouldn't wind up just stuffing my face angrily, rebelling against, the dietary regime or whatever it is that's going on, or just feeling, angry about something at work or in a relationship that's important to me, and winding up saying, screw it, I'm going to eat all the way home. There's kind of an angry eating to it. There's also, fearful eating, lonely eating, anxious eating at a party. Somebody who goes back over and over again. I did this myself in the past, getting hors d'oeuvres. I think I'll go get something to eat, and just sort of having something munching in the mouth constantly and not really tasting the food. So just this emotional aspect that's becomes related and interwoven with eating in the response to human experience. But let's look at that basic, deep thought, this belief about these hard feelings, these troubling feelings, that I need to get rid of them. Got to get rid of them, because if I was peaceful all the time, then I wouldn't eat. Well, that is going to be a long and difficult road. That's going to be a big mountain to climb. If you have to be peaceful in order to stop eating like a crazy person, whatever that looks like for you, or dieting like a crazy person, being obsessive, being concerned, being worried. But if you have to be peaceful to stop doing that, you might be waiting for a really long time, because it's just not necessarily in the experience of being a human being to be peaceful, nonstop, constantly. Sometimes people even get an idea that there's this goal of being blissful and peaceful, enlightened, totally relaxed, aware, and then I would be free. I'd be liberated. I'd be liberated from a tough emotional experience. I wouldn't have any of those feelings anymore. So I'm going to strive to get rid of them. Well, I have found an interesting sort of dynamic with all that is that when I was against being angry, for example, it just served to keep the fuel burning of anger. Like being against a feeling in itself seems to keep it alive. It's like I'm fighting with it. So I'm giving it lots of attention and I'm working on it. Maybe I go to therapy over it. Not that there's anything wrong with that. There can be amazing dynamics that can be learned by being honest with another human being in a therapeutic setting or with a group. But really looking at what you feel you would like to refuse to feel, that you just think is not good if anyone feels it, especially me. This is a really interesting thing to identify. And one way that you can do it is to actually think about somebody else who's had this feeling in a big way. So, for example, I remember when I felt so disturbed about being angry. Every single time I'd ever feel angry, I'd also feel bad about being angry. And I would feel like you don't say anything, zip your mouth, hold it in. What's wrong with you? If I did let something out, sort of came out sideways, maybe kind of digging at somebody, because I felt abrupt and harsh and whatever that angry energy is, and tight and fearful but intense, protective, defensive, So this thing would arise, and almost immediately these thoughts and ideas would come in that said, something's wrong with you. Good spiritual people don't have this feeling. It's bad. And then the minute I would feel bad about myself, oh my gosh, that just kicks off the cycle of feeling empty and unsupported and lost. And emptiness is one of the 3 biggies of that trigger and feel like they fit right into the cycle of eating. I always say powerlessness, a sense of being totally powerless, like a victim, unable to do something in the world in relationship to a person or a situation. Feeling afraid, terrified, nervous, anxious, and all forms of fear and whatever they are. And then emptiness. These are 3 huge umbrella experiences, feelings, ways of being in a situation, or ways that you're judging your own situation, that drive people to compulsive or addictive behavior of any kind, wanting to get filled up or regain power or have some sense of calm instead of being terrified. I'm not saying that it's comfortable to feel those uncomfortable feelings, because it isn't. It's just never going to be. But opening up in a way to your feelings, this is certainly what happened to me. Opening up to my own feelings as if they are not my enemy made an incredible difference. It's like questioning the thought, having this feeling, anger, makes me bad. Is that true? I used to think yes, the answer is yes. If I really asked myself honestly, I thought that was true. Can you absolutely know that it's true? That if you experience anger, you are a bad person? I cannot find that answer to be yes, but it's really good to sit with it, to just hold still and see what you actually have to say. Sometimes people will have images of the past about being scolded for being angry or losing your temper, for being bossy and grabbing something, when you're a kid, being mad about somebody taking something away, and that you should not be so angry. It's just great to notice what kind of filters or memories or conditioning seems so for you. How do you react when you believe anger makes you bad? Or fearful makes you bad? I used to think being super afraid was also not so good. That it's, shameful. You should be tough. How do you react when you think having that feeling makes you a bad person? Well, you'll do everything to kill that feeling, right? Pretend you don't have it. Work on it. Shift it. Say mantras and chants to yourself to not have it. And then, of course, here it comes, and you failed. And then I would eat. Such a failure. I was angry. Who would you be without that story? It's an amazing question. Who would you be if you couldn't have that story about this difficult feeling? Who would you be if you couldn't have that thought? If you didn't believe it? And just wonder about who you would be using your imagination. What if it was okay to be angry? Sometimes people will say, but if I don't have that feeling, I'll be like a raging lunatic, and I'll just blow up at people, or I'll say mean things to people all the time. I won't have a filter. I'll hurt people's feelings. I'll be a scaredy cat right out in the open, and everyone will realize what a nervous wreck I am. If I don't hide it, if I don't have the feeling that it's bad, if I don't have the thought that it's bad to experience these feelings, I won't be working on them. I'll just be a mess. But is that actually true? Are you sure? I do notice that in reality, these feelings exist. Reality includes rage, terror, violence. It's people reacting with these experiences that they're having. Reality seems to include that. It includes the feeling. I found this paradoxical experience that when I opened up to understanding that feeling angry or nervous or very upset and sad, even ashamed, that feeling these feelings were part of the human condition, and it made me a human being, and that they weren't horrible. Didn't mean I was a bad person, it just meant I was a human person. That when I opened up to maybe it has a message for me, maybe it has something to tell me, that's in the turnaround. Who would I be without that story that this anger is bad? Original thought, the anger is wrong. I shouldn't be feeling it. Anger is bad, makes me a bad person. The anger makes me a good person. Isn't that interesting? How could that be true? Is this anger supporting me to express in some sort of good and open and helpful, useful way? Does it have a message? Does my fear have a message for me? If it did, what would it be? This can be a great journaling exercise. These can be questions you can sit with somebody who you feel really supported and kind and loved by, somebody who you feel safe with, and they can ask you this question and write down what your answers are. If this anger was here and it had an important message for me, what would it be? And it doesn't mean it has to have anything to do with those other people that, quote unquote, caused the anger or fear, because that's a whole nother story, where you can also bring inquiry into, what your experience of that situation is that drew this emotion out in the first place. So my thinking, so anger makes me a bad person. Not true. Anger makes me a whole person, even a good person. You just find advantages for it, and it doesn't mean you need to go act on it. In fact, often when you open up to anger, I sure experienced this too, I found it softened, it dissolved when I allowed myself to speak with words and not get upset and hold in in a tight ball, or cut off a relationship or lash out. Then things sort of had a way of riding an important wave that had beautiful energy in it. And I felt far less, astonishingly less, like eating. When my anger began to be okay to have, or my fear, or all these emotions that I thought, or even any kind of actions that would make me a bad person, even my judgments shouldn't be judgmental. You shouldn't be judgmental is a judgment. So even all of that, I could welcome them in to my life as part of being human, then I noticed this amazing thing happening where if it was okay to feel this and to express it somehow in a way that was genuine and honest and even kind interestingly enough, just and direct, then the feeling of needing to eat did not seem to appear. I like to say, though, the most important thing about this particular teaching today that I want to share is those feelings do not have to be gone for you to not eat. You can even feel, if you've been typically somebody who, when you start to feel really resentful and, overwhelmed and like you're being controlled by somebody and you're seething on the inside, and then that moves you into kind of an addictive or compulsive interest. You want to go eat. You don't have to eat. You don't have to get over the anger, and you don't have to eat to get past the anger. It sort of temporarily seems to work, which is probably why any of us have ever done it, because it changes the channel. You're not in the middle of that extremely stressful emotion. It's very comforting and comfortable to eat. I mean, eating is a great pleasure in life. So you can remember, and just in this with yourself right now, because I'm so angry, eating will help. Is that true? It'll help calm me down. It'll ground me. It'll comfort me. It'll help me dissociate from all these feelings I'm having. Fear, anxiousness, sadness, emptiness. Is that true, that the eating will actually take it away and help? No. So you can just notice the turnaround, that the eating will not help a troubling emotion. It won't actually resolve it or solve it or fix it. It may seem to do certain things like soften it and switch things around, but it will just reappear unresolved. So you can notice that, you can live the turnaround. You do not have to eat just because you feel a strong emotion that's uncomfortable, and that it's not going to help. Maybe it will help more to be in touch with the feeling. And then maybe as you allow yourself to be in touch with the feeling, with compassion, you notice the urge to eat dissolves, fades away. You certainly do not have to be a calm, peaceful, blissful person in order to not eat off balance. Eating peace can be available to you even if the inside of you is not peaceful. I know that's true. Being a human being includes a full range of emotional experiences, and all kinds of things happen, don't they? Tons of things, infinite number of things happen in day-to-day lives and in relationships and in our experience. And any one of those can happen without the need to eat to soften them. Maybe it's okay that all those things happen. Some of them feel really difficult when they occur, and that's okay. All right. Hope that helps. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I love getting questions, and many blessings to you. Let me know how it goes. Bye, everybody.